Watch any scene where Muzan interacts with his demons, and something feels wrong before you can name it. It is not just that he is powerful. It is the way the demons around him behave, the way they flinch before he speaks, the way upper ranks who could tear through armies stand completely still in his presence, afraid to move wrong, the way none of them, not one, has ever successfully turned against him, even when they wanted to. That is not a coincidence. That is a pattern. Muzan Kibutsuji has been alive for over 1,000 years. He did not survive that long through strength alone. What grew around him over those centuries functions like a control system, not because he sat down and planned it, but because every fearful, paranoid, survival-driven thing he did ended up stacking on top of each other until something nearly impossible to escape was in place. Here are the 7 specific things he does, and what each one ends up producing. Trick 1. He puts himself inside every single one of them. This is where everything else starts. When Muzan turns a human into a demon, he does not just change their body, he puts his own blood into them. That blood is not passive. It carries a connection back to him, one that lets him sense them, reach them, and kill them from any distance, at any time. Every demon walking around has a piece of Muzan inside them. They cannot remove it. They cannot block it. It was there from the first moment they became a demon, and it stays there until they are dead. The series makes this concrete and cold. When Muzan learns that Rui, lower rank 5, has died, he does not send anyone to handle the situation. He gathers the remaining lower ranks and kills them all himself, remotely, while sitting completely still. They feel it starting before it finishes. They cannot run. They cannot fight back. They are gone before any of them can finish a sentence. This ends up working differently from regular fear. Regular fear comes from something outside you, a threat that exists somewhere else, something you might be able to get away from if you move fast enough or go far enough. What this produces instead is the understanding that the threat is already inside your own body. It has been there since before you did anything wrong. There is no distance you can put between yourself and it. Through his blood, Muzan can monitor and act on his demons to a significant extent, though not always instantly and not always completely. But the demons do not know the limits of what he can see. That uncertainty does more work than the actual ability does. What happens when a demon tries to reveal information about him is where this gets stranger still. Trick 2. He made saying his name physically impossible. There is something built into the blood Muzan puts into every demon. Demons cannot say his name. They cannot tell demon slayers where he is. They cannot share anything useful about him with the people hunting him. This is not a choice they make out of loyalty or fear of consequences. The blood stops them before the words can form. The series shows this directly. Susumaru tries to say Muzan's name during her fight with Tamayo. Before she can finish, her own body turns on her. Her cells destroy her from the inside. She does not do this to herself intentionally. Her body simply carries out something that was already in place long before that moment arrived. This ends up functioning like a lock that runs without a key. A normal punishment approach requires someone to catch you doing something wrong, then respond. This requires none of that. It runs on its own, every time, without Muzan needing to pay attention or even be aware it happened. What makes it nearly complete is that the demons carrying this cannot warn anyone about it. They cannot explain that they are unable to talk. The thing stops the explanation of itself before that explanation can happen. For over 1,000 years, Muzan moved through the world and no demon gave him away in any lasting way. Not because none of them ever wanted to, because the wanting did not matter. The next layer of this is not about what he puts into individual demons. It is about what the structure between all of them ends up doing to how they relate to each other. Trick 3. The ranking system pushes demons to compete instead of connect. The 12 Kizuki, the 12 most powerful demons, are organized into upper ranks and lower ranks, numbered by power level. This looks like a military structure. What it ends up doing is something different. Muzan gives more of his blood to higher-ranked demons. More blood means more power. This means rank is a direct reflection of how much of Muzan is inside you. The gap between a lower rank and an upper rank is not just a title. It is a measurable physical difference. And every demon in the system can feel that difference. What this leads to is every demon's attention pointing in 2 directions. Upward toward Muzan, and sideways toward whoever is ranked just above them. There is no natural way for that attention to turn outward toward a shared situation, because the shared situation is not what the structure rewards. The structure rewards individual performance measured against individual rank. 2 demons do not look at each other and recognize that they are both in the same position. They look at each other and see a rank to surpass, or a threat to their own standing. No demon has successfully turned against Muzan in any lasting way, and this is part of why. Turning against him would require coordination. Coordination would require trust. Trust would require some sense of being in something together. The ranking system naturally pushes against all of that before it can form. The lower ranks show what the end of this looks like. When Muzan calls them together in the Infinity Castle, they arrive already knowing they have not performed well enough. They are afraid before he says a word. They are not surprised when he starts killing them. They have understood from early in their existence that this was always a possibility, and nothing in the structure they lived inside ever gave them a way to address that together. What Muzan does and does not give his demons connects to a search that has been running underneath everything for centuries, and most of them have never been told what they are actually part of. Trick 4. He is the only source of power any of them can reach. Every demon's strength comes directly from Muzan's blood. This is not a theme. It is the actual mechanic the series establishes and holds consistent throughout. A demon does not grow stronger through effort alone. A demon's ceiling is set by the quality and amount of Muzan's blood they carry. If Muzan decides to give a demon more blood, they become more powerful. If he does not, they stay where they are. There is no other path available. What this leads to is every demon who wants to grow stronger having exactly one option: be valuable enough to Muzan that he puts more of himself into them. The fear and the desire point toward the same place at the same time. He does not need to remind most of them of this. It is already the shape of what they want. Akaza, upper rank 3, makes this visible. He is one of the most powerful demons in the series. He seeks out strong opponents constantly, not primarily to feed, but to measure and push himself. The level above where he is requires Muzan to decide to move him there. His entire drive pushes him toward a relationship he cannot control. Most demons in this position do not experience this as a trap. They experience it as motivation. The system works on them without feeling like a system. What Muzan has been using demons to search for across all these centuries is something he has never been able to produce in himself, and the demons carrying that search forward mostly do not know that is what they are doing. Before we move on, if you're enjoying this analysis, please consider subscribing. It helps the channel tremendously. Trick 5. He has been using them to solve his own problem. Muzan cannot go into sunlight. This is the one thing he has never been able to fix, and he has not spent 1,000 years sitting with that problem quietly. He has been using every demon he creates as part of a search for a solution. What he is looking for is a human who can survive his blood and develop resistance to sunlight, so he can take that quality and apply it to himself. The blue spider lily, the plant used in the original medicine that first changed him, is also part of this search. He has been hunting for both across centuries. What this means is that his demons are not only servants. Most of them are walking pieces of a search they were never told about. Their existence has a function beyond what they know. The demons, close enough to Muzan to understand any part of his actual goals, find themselves in a specific position. They know he is looking for something through them. This does not make them want to leave. It makes them perform harder, because staying useful in a functional relationship with Muzan is the best position available inside the world he controls. When Nezuko develops sunlight resistance on her own, something no demon across centuries of this search had done, his response shifts immediately. Not tactically, personally. He redirects everything toward her. This is the result he has been searching for. Every other priority drops. What that moment reveals is that nearly every demon who ever existed was part of this search without being told. The one who accidentally produced the result he needed was the one who never tried to impress him at all. The next layer of his control is harder to see directly. It has to do with what most demons gradually lose after the conversion, and why that loss makes resistance harder to reach for. Trick 6. Most demons gradually lose their connection to what they were. Most demons, as time passes after their conversion, lose their clear connection to the human lives they came from. The series never fully explains why this happens, but the pattern is consistent enough that it becomes part of what makes Muzan's position so stable. A demon who vividly remembered and missed their human life every day would be a demon with a constant, clear understanding of what the conversion cost them. That awareness would naturally point toward resentment. Resentment points toward resistance. What seems to happen instead is that the current state becomes the state that feels real. The hungers and drives that come with being a demon replace most of what came before. Former humans become beings whose desires fit the structure they are living inside. The anger that would come from clearly remembering a theft does not arrive, because the memory of the thing taken has faded. The demons who hold on to the most humanity, Nezuko and Tamayo, are rare enough that Muzan spent long stretches of time not encountering anything like them. Tamayo retained enough of her original mind to work against him for a very long time. That is exactly why she is one of the few demons the series shows him treating as a genuine concern rather than a resource. She remembered. That memory is a problem his system does not handle well. For most others, the fading does the work quietly. You cannot reach for something you no longer clearly remember having. The last thing on this list operates on a completely different level from blood or fear or memory. It has to do with something much simpler, what most demons end up treating as the reason any of their existence makes sense. Trick 7. Many demons come to treat him as the source of their purpose. Muzan is the first demon. Every demon that exists came from his blood. In a real, physical sense, he is the reason they exist in the form they currently have. And over time, many demons begin to relate to him not just as someone to fear, but as the source of whatever meaning their existence carries. This ends up functioning differently from regular obedience. Regular obedience says, do what I say or face consequences. What this produces is closer to, the only life available to me started with him, and opposing him would mean opposing the ground I am standing on. The series shows this most clearly in how the upper ranks relate to him. They are not following orders the way a soldier follows a commander. They are oriented toward him the way something is oriented toward what made it possible. Kokushibo, the strongest of them, kept believing in Muzan's direction across centuries, long past any point where a simple calculation of personal benefit would justify it. He had given up everything human in himself. The only thing that made that trade feel like it meant something was the belief that Muzan's goals were real and worth serving. When that frame breaks, when Kokushibo faces his final battle and sits with what his centuries actually produced, there is nothing underneath it. The meaning was the relationship, and the relationship was Muzan. Over time, his actions have created a structure that reinforces his control without requiring him to maintain it directly. Most demons are not looking for exits. They are not quietly planning resistance. They moved past the point where those thoughts feel reachable, and in many cases, they do not know that happened. What connects all 7 of these is that none of them require Muzan to be present. The blood watches for him. The compulsion stops speech for him. The ranking structure redirects competition away from him. The dependency pulls demons toward him without him pulling. The search gives them a function they mostly never knew about. The gradual fading removes the clearest reason to fight back. And the sense of purpose that forms around him makes the whole thing feel like simply the shape of reality, rather than something imposed. The system is nearly total. There are rare exceptions. Tamayo worked against him for years. Nezuko refused to participate in any of it. And that last part is the thing that sits underneath all of this. Every layer described above, the blood, the compulsion, the competition, the dependency, the search, the fading, the meaning, none of it could account for someone who simply wanted nothing it was offering. Nezuko went to sleep and waited for her brother. That was enough to break through all of it. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.